everyone, welcome back to Ladies of Lavender, and thank you so much for joining me today. For today's video, I want to talk about UTIs, or urinary tract infections. And I kind of want to address the stigma surrounding UTIs, because UTIs are very stigmatized and sexualized by our society. And I'll also talk about my experience with a UTI, just to clear up some confusion and give you advice if you happen to develop one. Make sure to like and subscribe to join the Ladies of Lavender family, and let's get into the video. A UTI is a urinary tract infection, and it's literally what it sounds like. It's an inflammation and irritation and bacterial infection of the cervix and uterus, making it hard for people to urinate, and it can sometimes cause like a burning sensation, and it also can cause cramps in the abdominal area and in like the hip area and the upper thighs. It can mimic the cramp sensation of a menstrual period, but the difference is that it's mainly focused towards the urinary tract, like the name implies. So you'll notice the UTI if you notice that there's a more frequency and when you need to urinate, so there's like an urgency in it, and then also the pain in urinating, that's the other thing, and the urgency in urination and things like that are what separates a menstrual period from a UTI. So that's kind of the background information. A UTI it's something that can be treated and fixed, so you really don't need to worry about that part of it at all. The only thing is that you need to act with urgency. So if you suspect that you have a UTI, immediately go talk to an adult, someone that you trust, and can take you to the doctor, and then tell the doctor what's going on. They'll probably ask you some questions, some of which will be asking about sexual activities that you may or may not have partaken in. Those are just really like run-of-the-mill questions, and you'll have to answer them. And they'll usually test a urine sample, and then they will prescribe you an antibiotic that will kill the infection and make your reproductive organs healthy again. So yeah, that's what I had to do when I kind of suspected that I had a UTI. I scheduled a doctor's appointment. I went in the next morning. All they did was take a urine sample, and then I went into an examination room, but they didn't look at me. I didn't have to get an exam or anything like that. I had all of my clothes on the entire time, so you do not have to be worried about anything like that. And I just went to the normal doctor for this, so you don't have to go to a gynecological doctor or anything like that. You can go to your normal pediatrician, or if you're above the age of 21, you can go to a normal adult doctor. So they took my urine sample, and then I sat in a waiting room for a while. They took my blood pressure to make sure that my blood pressure was back to normal, because the night before I went to the doctor's office, my blood pressure had dropped a lot, and it made me really dizzy, and I had passed out a few times. So they wanted to make sure that I was okay, but they didn't take any of my blood. I sat there for a while because they had to test the sample and see, what was wrong. And they tested it. They figured out that it was a UTI and that there was bacteria, and they prescribed me an antibiotic, and I took the antibiotic. So that's basically that's what you can do if you have a UTI. It's really not a big deal. You just go to the doctor, they prescribe you the antibiotic, which will kill the infection. A UTI can be caused for many different reasons. Some people will get a UTI because of sexual activity, meaning some kind of foreign bacteria has been introduced to the cervix, uterus, whatever. But then other cases, which are more common, is bacteria will be introduced to the cervix in more common ways, like showering, going to the bathroom, things like that. Like, it's really common. Like, it's really easy to get a UTI. You can also get a UTI from a huge amount of stress. You can get one from not being hydrated enough. There are a ton of different reasons. It's not just from experiencing sexual activity. And that's why it's so stigmatized and sexualized, is because when someone says that they have a UTI, the immediate reaction is that they have had sex, and that is why they have an infection. And with antibiotics that they prescribe you, it's important that you finish the antibiotics that they give you. So even if you stop experiencing like the symptoms of a UTI, mine went away like the next day after I started taking my antibiotic, but you want to finish it out so then the bacteria that caused the infection cannot reproduce again. So your body will become immune to it, basically. But if you don't finish it, then the bacteria could come back stronger. That's what I learned in 9th grade bio, but any of you guys that are like studying biology can totally correct me. But yeah, so it really wasn't a big deal. Like, my UTI like lasted for like 4 days or something. That was it. And then I felt fine again. And it was only bad for like one day when I experienced like the intensity of my symptoms, and I stayed home from school that day. And like the only bad part about my UTI was the night before I went to the doctor, when I got really lightheaded and I fainted twice, and I busted my lip because I had fainted and fallen and like hit my face on the floor. But like obviously my lip is completely fine now. The bruise only lasted for like a few days, and like it's really not a huge deal if you get a UTI, but it is important that you go to the doctor and get tested if you suspect you have one, so that they can tackle the bacteria that's causing the problem early, so it doesn't have time to like colonize and reproduce more bacteria that could possibly affect other organs of the body. People who are older are actually more likely to get a urinary tract infection, and everyone can get a urinary tract infection. It's not just women. Anyone can get it. So older women are usually more susceptible to getting UTIs because their cervix hangs lower in their body, and so also older people will usually have a decreased amount of thirst, so they're not as thirsty all the time, so they're not drinking as much water, drinking enough fluid, so it's so much easier for them to get urinary tract infection. So things like that, I just kind of learned when I was doing research on this. So yeah, wanted to talk about urinary tract infections. Completely common, completely normal. The doctor will take care of you, and if you are sexually active and that's probably why you came into contact with a bacteria that caused you UTI, the doctor will keep that between the two of you and will help you in whatever way they can, because sometimes antibiotic needs to be changed in order to handle certain specific UTI bacteria. Not a doctor, not a health professional, but that is what I've learned from my experience with the UTI and researching for Ladies of Lavender. So if you have any questions, please direct them to your health professional or your parent or someone that you trust. And I'll leave some sources down below if you want to do some research on your own. But again, put your health and yourself first. If you think that you have a UTI, it does not hurt to talk to an adult or talk to a doctor. It's very important, and it's very important for your health and your prosperity. So yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about today. It's a longer video, but I think it really needed to be discussed. And I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you the next time I upload. Bye guys.